Hey there, Wedding Confessionals listeners. It's Brooke, just coming in to let you know, for the first time ever, I think, we're going to be having a three-parter. That's right, you're listening to part 1 of 3 of our really interesting conversation with Carly Bitzerhoof. So sit back, relax, enjoy part 1, and at the end of this part of the convo, Pam and I are going to hop in and tell you some bridal breaks for the week. Let's get to it.
Something borrowed, something blue. Give us all your juicy news, sensational, irrational. It's Wedding Confessionals.
Okay, are you ready, Pammy?
Let's do it.
We are about a minute in. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Sorry.
You get to see us
I
gear up to
listened
go.
to this the entire time wedding planning.
Yay.
That's the opener. We're opening with that. Welcome to another episode of Wedding Confessionals. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Pam.
And the only thing we love more than weddings
Is talking about weddings.
so much talking.
We love it.
We do have a guest, and we're definitely going to get to her. But 2
Yes.
seconds. Pammy, 2 things we have to remind everybody about.
Okay.
1, Instagram at Wedding Confessionals.
Yes.
Please join us.
Yeah, it's a
Daily
party.
quizzes. We currently debated about the whole Moscow Mule. You're missing out. Definitely want to follow us on stories specifically because we do daily polls and we want your opinions to see if they line up with ours.
Yeah, let us know.
It's really fun finding out how wrong some people think we are. Sobering, humbling,
It is.
but they still come back for more.
You know what? Give us your opinions. We love it.
Yes. And also a pleasant reminder for everyone to please give us a happy little rating and review on Apple Podcasts specifically because their little algorithm is persnickety.
That's a great word for that.
It's a polite way of putting it.
Yes.
No, like they really matter. I would like to read one actually that came in recently just because it made me giggle. Okay, so this is from... Okay, I can't even, it's just a series of letters that don't make sense, but you'll
Okay.
know who you are. It starts with an H, HDKSNEI. I'm not kidding. I'm going to stop because it
Okay.
just keeps going.
All right.
It's kind of like someone just went to the keyboard and went, blah, 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 blah. Like when my cat steps on the keyboard, that is this person's username.
Okay.
And the title of it is It's the Catchy Theme Song for Me. So shout out to Andy and her lovely theme
Andy.
song. She said,
Yeah.
I got married in June, but this is just so fun to listen to that I'm still tuning in. Love it. I would like to say to this listener that it's really fun to go from bride or groom to just pure wedding enthusiast.
Yes. Like us.
Yeah, we got married forever ago and we still love talking about weddings, watching stuff about weddings. Once it's in your blood, it sticks around forever.
You remember everything.
So, but speaking of wedding enthusiast, as you could hear from our intro, our guest was at one point a listener. And now
Still a listener.
Oh, that's true. Still a listener, but now she is a guest. So the way that we met this person is Lauren Lilly, who's been on the podcast a bunch. All she did was say, listen, my friend Carly has a crazy wedding story. You have to have her on the podcast. That is literally all we know, guys.
Yes.
That is it.
We're in, basically.
Yeah.
You tell
yeah.
us that and we're like, yes, please.
Booked her immediately.
Yep. Let's hear it.
So,
Man, I hope it lives up.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome Carly Bitzerhoof. Hi.
Hi. I think this is the first time I've been introduced with my new last name, actually.
How
By
exciting.
Yeah.
So the way that the podcast works, as you know, as a fellow listener, is that we have listeners write in confessionals. They're completely anonymous. Sometimes they're stories, sometimes they're questions. Then we read them and we either give advice or share experiences about it.
Discuss.
Yeah. But before that, we usually like to have a guest on and we want to interview them about their personal history with weddings. Apparently, we have a very interesting one. So I'm very excited. And then from there, we kind of have an idea of your point of view before you start doling out the advice. So, Carly, our first question is always the same, and then it just goes off the rails after that.
Pretty much.
The question is, how old were you when you went to your first wedding?
So it's funny. Honestly, I don't remember, but the only reason that I have any recollection of this is because there's this like iconic photo in my family of my cousin Tyler basically dragging me down the aisle as a flower girl at my aunt's wedding. Because I was like very outgoing, but I don't know, at this moment, I guess I got super nervous. And so there's just this picture of me in this like little white dress getting like kind of, and he was super tall and I'm like super small. So that photo has definitely been passed around. So that's definitely the first wedding I went to. And then I swear, I don't think I went to another wedding until I was in one of my best friend's weddings. You know, a lot older, in my mid-20s. So not a lot of stuff in between, I guess.
Yeah, some people don't go to a lot of weddings as kids. I feel like you either go to a ton or you go to like one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was like a one and done flower girl and then bridesmaid and then
Word got around. They're like, don't hire this flower girl.
She will totally fuck it up.
Good point. Maybe due to your performance at that one wedding, they were like cutting Carly from the list.
Okay, the picture's pretty cute, so
if possible, send it to us. We'll put it up on Instagram.
Yes, I will. It's around. I'm sure I can get it.
So you got into your 20s and you were in your first wedding in it. So you were bridesmaid, maid of honor. Is this college friends, high school friends?
Yes. So my first one, I think I was the maid of honor. Jesse, sorry if I wasn't the maid of honor. I honestly can't remember. I think we were like I think I was the maid of honor. I don't know. We all like
you just bossy anyway and just like assumed.
I don't know. It's funny because I feel like my friends, I actually didn't even end up having bridesmaids, but there was never like a crazy hierarchy. We always like did stuff together, or maybe I'm just saying that and someone else was like doing all the work and I was like, this was fine. But no, my one of my best friends from like high school and then through college, that was the first wedding and I was in her wedding. And then one of my best college friends, I was also in her wedding after that. And then I'm trying to think. I think that's the only 2 times I was a bridesmaid. It's funny. Like for being such a wedding enthusiast, I feel like I haven't been to that many weddings. And then my aunt, actually, the one whose wedding I messed up as flower girl, she got remarried and I went to her wedding and that was a really lovely family wedding. And I was not the flower girl, but apparently I did a good job being a guest.
So pushing along to your wedding, how did you meet? What's your husband's name?
Elliot.
How did you meet Elliot?
We met the good old fashioned way on a dating app.
Which one? I always like to figure out which one's like the popular one.
So this is really odd because I swear this one no one has ever heard of, and like it was called Happen. I don't even know if it exists anymore. It was spelled HAPPN because the extra vowel is unnecessary, I guess. And so basically when I moved back to LA, after many years away, I left LA to go to college in New York. And then I lived in New Orleans for a little bit and Colorado and was like, I'm not going back to LA. That's never happening. And then got a job offer and ended up back in LA.
Because you grew up, you were born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So I grew up in LA. And so I ended up back there and I kept meeting guys on dating apps that were on the other side of town. And I hate driving, which is partially why I didn't want to move back to LA. And so I was just getting fed up with it because I lived on the west side. I kept meeting guys that lived in like, Silver Lake, Highland Park, where all the cool kids live. And so I joined this dating app called Happen, which like matches you with people that you cross paths with.
Right.
So theoretically, what?
I said, right. Yes.
Yes.
Wait,
Isn't
theoretically.
this the one that Laura met Chris?
Yes.
Oh my God. If someone met someone on that,
Yes.
I would be
recent episode. The only reason why we know about this is because it just came up like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
How did I miss that episode? I would have been like, I have been slacking.
Carly's
since my
not
wedding.
really a wedding enthusiast after. Oh no, we're just kidding.
I was like on every episode before, but since the wedding.
No, I'm actually double checking the show notes that's the same one.
Yeah,
I know
as you're describing it, I'm
listeners
like,
are probably screaming at their speaker right now.
Yes.
Because they're like, it is.
Great.
Who is it? I'm looking it up right now.
Back
Keep
to
talking.
Happen. Yeah, I mean now I'm starting to listen to some like baby podcasts. So the wedding podcast have like fallen off a little bit just because now I have this like whole new genre of podcast to listen to.
Spoiler alert, you're pregnant.
Yes.
Yay! Yeah, it's been a little bit since the wedding, so that's been a new update. But yeah, so okay, but the part that ended up being hilarious in a way is
It was
that
happened. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes!
It was happened. I just looked it up.
Okay, happened like deserves a shout out.
It's still
Yeah.
active. It still exists.
It's working, apparently.
Guys, if you're single, go on Happen. Apparently,
Maybe Happen should sponsor this.
two for two on this
Yeah.
one on this podcast.
So, and honestly, he's the only person I met on that app. So, but the funny part is that I matched with him while I was in Hollywood visiting a friend. So it ended up matching me with someone that was not in my area at all anyway.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to drive across town because I worked in Playa Vista. I lived in West LA. He lived in Franklin Village. And then I had my dog like at daycare in Santa Monica. And so our dog daycare. And so I had to like go to Playa Vista to work, go pick up my dog, go back to my house, go to his house. It was like long distance relationship nightmare. And
You must have been worth it.
It was, yeah. That's actually how we ended up moving in together. Is I got into a car accident one day on the way to his house, not a terrible one, but a fender bender. My only car accident I've ever been in, despite the fact that I'm a terrible driver. So I got into a fender bender and basically called him and was like, we're either moving in together or we're breaking up. Like I can't do this commute anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. What was it about his profile that you decided to say yes?
I just thought he was super adorable. And he had, I actually thought this was really funny. He had his FICO score, his is FICO credit? I can't even remember. He had like 3 different scores, including like his credit score, his Uber rating, and like his height or something else. And I just thought that was really funny. And yeah, I don't know. I remember we just hit it off right away. And then our first date was like probably the best first date of my life. Like it was, and it's funny because honestly, we didn't even do anything that special. We met up on Sawtelle to get noodles. Oh, okay. So actually backtracking, he does Sober January every month. And we met up in January. And so it was like, bar was off the table, going to get a drink was off the table. And it was kind of like, okay, what do we do? So we went to go get noodles on Sawtelle. And I don't know if you've ever tried to get noodles on Sawtelle, but there's always like a 2-hour wait. And so we ended up waiting 2 hours in the rain for noodles.
Wow.
And just like talked the entire time. And later he told me that he thought I was way too cool for him, which made me really happy. But but we ended up getting noodles, and the noodle part of it lasted like 10 minutes. We like went in, ate noodles, and then we were like, shit, what do we do now? And so we ended up sitting in my car, like high school status, not even listening to music, actually. We just were talking for like 4 or 5 hours on a weeknight. And I ended up leaving the end of the date at like 2 a.m. I dropped him back off at his car. He had parked like blocks away because it's LA. I dropped him back off at his car, and he texted his friends that night and said, like, I think he texted his high school friends, like his old friends, and was like, I think that I met the woman I'm going to marry tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. That's so sweet. I love guys. I love a good date. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to be married, but a good date.
And then I like tried to break up with him like 5 times because I like had panic attacks where I was like, what's happening? I don't know. I was just like, and he was like, he's just so level-headed. And I warned him. I was like, I'm definitely going to try to sabotage this. And he's just like so level-headed and so grounded, and like just has a way of making me feel calm. And so anytime I tried to like panic, he was like, are you having a good time? And I'm like, yeah, I'm having like the best time. And he's like, okay, well then let's just keep doing that. And then we just kept doing that. And then here we are, and I'm obsessed with him. And we're completely codependent on each other. And that's that.
You balance each other out. I love that.
Yeah, we do.
That's so cool. So how long were you dating? So obviously you dated for how long, and then you moved in with each other because of the car wreck?
That was like a year.
A year.
We moved in with each other at like a year, and then I think.
Were you talking about getting married at that point or no?
When we moved in together, we weren't talking about getting married. It's so funny. I have like quite literally the world's worst memory. I made him send me the timeline of our wedding planning stuff so that I could like reference
Are you referencing it right now?
I mean, like you can't see it, but yes. I was like, okay, when did you propose? When did we start planning? When did this happen? When did the postponement happen? When did the fire happen? We'll get to all that.
There's a fire. Okay, this is like a preview.
Oh my goodness, yes.
This is like that point where there's a commercial break. Remember in the 80s where like before they went the commercial break, they'd show you previews of what's come up next. And there'd be like this little flashes of stuff. I feel like we just got that.
We did.
Yeah. Do you need to go to like commercial break now?
I wish. Sponsors. Well, apparently Happen's going to be
is going to be our first one. Yes.
Get on board.
What perfect synergy. A wedding podcast and a dating app.
In case you want to end up on the wedding podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, as we've learned through people writing in, there are a decent amount of people that are like not even engaged yet that just like to listen to the podcast.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not that crazy Happen.
Yeah. I see
Hit us
that
up.
for sure.
Enough of us on our endless promotions. Sorry, back to you. So
I work in advertising, if you couldn't tell. I'm like trying to like make this happen.
You just keep pitching.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're living with each other. You haven't talked about getting married. What happens next?
We're living with each other. We found this like cute place in Mid-City because he worked still on the east side. I worked on the west side. So this was like a, Romeo and Juliet cross LA situation. And so we found this place in Mid-City and we just like have such fond memories there. It's so funny. We were talking about it last night. I think both of us for different reasons. I had never lived with a significant other before, and he had kind of like a bit of a bad experience living with a significant other before and had this like bachelor pad in Franklin Village and was like so hesitant to give it up. But it ended up being like the most wonderful place. And we had these like neighbors who we got along with so well, and it was just so lovely. And I think we both, I'm like trying to remember how the conversation even like started to come up, but it became clear that like we were gonna be together forever.
That's cool.
Whatever that means. And I definitely am like pretty clear about things that I want. So I probably said it at some point, was like, when's this gonna happen? I don't know. I was never like, I don't remember being like I definitely was pretty clear about wanting to get married. So he knew I wanted to get married. I knew he wanted to get married at some point, or at least like really wanted to have a family. And God, he's definitely going to listen to this and be like, that's not how it happened at all. I don't remember any.
Well, he can come on and defend himself.
Absolutely.
It happens quite a lot where somebody will listen and then the partner will be like, I need to come on and clear some things up.
The point is, I remember it happening really organically. And I do remember though, we went to New York together, and I had told him at that point that there was this ring designer that I really loved in Brooklyn, this like amazing Japanese couple who like have this studio where they make these like hand hammered rings, and they're so gorgeous. And so he definitely knew exactly what I wanted. And we went by when we were in New York and like tried on some stuff. And so it was definitely like a very open conversation. It was not like, will he, won't he, kind of thing. So I do think that was pretty clear. You know what's funny though is recently he said to me, I can't believe I proposed to you when I did, because by the time like the pandemic had happened and we had spent like a year together, he's like, I feel like now I'm trying to think the way he said it. It was really cute the way he said it, and the way I'm saying it is like not cute at all. But he was basically saying like, I love you even more now, and I'm so certain, even more certain now after spending all this time with you, that like I was so naive then when I proposed to you, and now I like love you even more. So now it feels crazy that I proposed to you then. And I'm like, I think that's just like how relationships go, is like, I can't believe we did that at that point. I don't know. It was very cute the way you said it, I swear.
Well, it is kind of like there is a point where you're just sort of flying blind and going off of just hope and just optimism. Be like, this should work. I mean, that's basically what everyone getting married is doing.
Yeah.
You're just hedging your bets that you pick the right person. And then
Yes.
years
And I
later, you're
think-
just like, fuck, that really worked out. Like, we were just young dummies.
That's exactly the sentiment, especially after like COVID. I feel like he was like, thank God, like we ended up really thriving through this together because I proposed to you before this. So like, good thing that worked.
Yeah, because some people didn't make it through the pandemic. Some
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
it just really tested them. Yeah, and it tested
Yeah.
yours in the right direction. That's cool.
Yes, 100%.
So how did he propose?
God, I'm like, I'm going to try to keep things short. I like could just like, sometimes
It's
I just
fine.
start
Just
talking.
go
I
ahead.
never-
You're the guest. You can take up a whole as long as you want. We can make this 2, 3, 4 parts.
Perfect. So the proposal, what I was saying is I'm like super type A, so I'm not usually surprised by stuff, but he actually surprised the shit out of me and did it in the way that I had like always kind of imagined, which I definitely mentioned to him. And the way I had imagined was just like being in bed. Like I just didn't want a big deal. And so I had kind of always said that to him. But basically, this is actually pretty funny. We were coming to Colorado to visit my parents, and we were going to go look at a few wedding venues. And this was before we were even engaged. We knew we wanted to get married in Colorado, and we were only going to be out there. And so my parents had said like, oh, we went to this wedding at this place called Devil's Thumb, which is not where we ended up getting married, and they were like, we should just like drive by and check it out on our way up to, go ski or whatever. And so I told Elliot, he's like, not even engaged yet. Like we can't. Anyway, the thing in my head was we were going to New York after that. And I thought, okay, we would go to the jeweler and then he would do it there. And that would be that. Of course, because I'm insane and just planning it in my head. And so about 2 weeks before we left for Colorado, we had a trip up to Paso Robles. We booked it. I don't even know why. Oh, maybe it was for our anniversary. I can't remember, but we had booked an Airbnb for a few nights up there. So I was really excited to go up there. And he woke me up that morning with breakfast in bed. And I just started telling him about, God, this is so embarrassing. So he woke me up with breakfast in bed. He like put this and it was so sweet. And I don't know why I didn't immediately think like, oh, something special is happening. But he was just standing by the side of the bed. And I had this breakfast in bed. And I started telling him about a dream I had. And thank God it wasn't some like weird sex dream or something. And I was like, yeah, I had a dream about like, and he was just like staring at me. And I was like, why is he like looking at me? And then eventually, finally, I looked down at the tray and there's a ring box there.
Oh
and
my God.
And he like now says it, doesn't get down on his knee, which I gave him shit for. I was like, you got to get down on the knee. But he didn't get down on his knee, but he was like, will you marry me? And I think that's all he said. I can't remember. I totally blacked out. And he said, I didn't say yes. I just kept saying, are you serious? I kept being like, are you serious? Are you serious? And he like mimics me all the time. And I was just like, super taken aback because he had gotten a ring made from the jeweler that I loved in Brooklyn and had been working with them for like months. And
Aww.
I thought that we were going to go like do it together, but he did such a great job. And like, it was so perfect. Yeah, it was great. And then we left to go up to Paso Robles and he was like, I figured that would be great timing because then you have a 2-hour car ride to like call everyone. So I called everyone on the car ride.
What a planner.
Yes.
That is excellent.
Good move. So I called everyone and it was like so fun. I remember we stopped at a market to go pick up like an artisanal market near like wine country to pick up like supplies for the weekend. And I was just walking around like, tra-la-la, I'm engaged.
Picking up everything with your left hand.
Yeah. Milk, please. And then we just like had a really lovely weekend up in Paso Robles. And actually that does come back into our wedding story. So remind me to tell you how Paso Robles comes back around.
Okay.
But,
Right.
Oh, and Paso Robles, for people not in California, is just sort of like, it's like wine country. It's like a perfect vacation driving point from LA. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, super cute. Yeah. It's like a, if you don't want to like do the whole like Napa thing, but it's kind of like mini Napa and really quaint and cute and more affordable for sure.
Yeah, it's super pretty. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you're engaged. and it's time to plan the wedding.
Yes.
Are you immediately making plans, or are you just trying to enjoy being engaged? Oh, wait. Yeah, the type A person. Well,
She's not.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yes. She's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we started to plan immediately. We started to plan
spreadsheets
quickly.
on the 2-hour drive up are being typed out.
Yeah, there was a PowerPoint. So, okay, but to be fair, the PowerPoint was not me. It was Elliot. So he is like the involved with the wedding this whole time. Like,
Okay.
he's like just as type A as I am when it comes to that kind of stuff, and like loves. Yeah, he loves it. He is not like an uninvolved groom, which is great and also sometimes irritating.
So wait, does he love weddings or he loves planning, like planning parties? Like what part of it was?
He doesn't love weddings. He doesn't love weddings. He loves planning parties. We actually both love planning parties. Like for his, he also just, he really, you know, he's a video editor, but he also is a director and has been in production. And I think he like cares about people knowing that things were planned well. You know, like he wants it to like run smoothly, and he wants people to like see that there was care put into the plans. And like we both love a good theme party. Like for his birthday the year before, we planned a Bob Ross themed painting party and had all of our friends. But like when I say he went hard, he bought like 10 easels that we set up around the living room with like a drop cloth and paint for everyone and canvases for everyone. And we did it in groups of 10. People would go in and drink wine and paint. And he was like emceeing the whole thing. So by the time he painted, he was so drunk that his painting was so bad. He was so pissed off. It was hilarious. But anyway, so he loves a good theme party too. And like, you know, I think it's important. Like we both wanted to be represented in the wedding, and we both wanted, like, if we were going to be spending all this time and money, like we wanted it to feel like the two of us, you know? So I think that I really love that.
And were you immediately thinking big wedding, small wedding? Like how big is your family and his wedding? I mean, and his family?
So I think neither one of us wanted a huge wedding. And honestly, we did go back and forth, like, especially once we started planning and realized like how much money it is and just like how much it can be generally. We were like, do we just want to elope? And then like, obviously we'll get to it, but like once COVID came around, it was like, well, now what do we do? Now do we just go to a courthouse? Like what do we do? But then we kind of kept like circling around like, okay, if we elope, like there's no way your mom and dad aren't going to want to come. There's no way my mom and dad aren't going to want to come. And then the grandma comes. And then by that point, it's like, we're not even eloping anymore, and we might as well just do it. And so we literally went around that like circle wheel for like weeks where we were like, okay, but maybe we just elope. But then we elope with these 10 people. But then if these 10 people come, then these more people. And then it was just like, okay, all right.
Wait, sorry. Just for context, because we are now talking about COVID getting involved. When did you get engaged?
So
she's checking her timeline, guys.
Let me refer to my timeline that my husband wrote for me because my memory is so bad. The proposal was February 2019. Okay. Started planning that weekend, parentheses, honestly, before that.
Okay, cool. Okay, right. So you're about a year out from things starting to get nutty in the world.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes, exactly. So that weekend that we went to Colorado to look at venues, we looked at a few different venues. So going back, when we knew that we wanted, once we decided, okay, we're having a wedding, we knew that we didn't want a huge wedding. So like, you know, like 70, 80 people seemed like right. But obviously I feel like we started to solidify it once we like started to get into like the realities of it. And it did end up being, I think, 80 people, something like that. So we knew that we wanted to have like an experience for people, that we wanted to have people be able to like spend time together outside of just like a reception. We wanted to have people be able to like socialize a little bit more casually, especially because if we were going to do it, it was going to be out of town for a lot of people anyway, because his family and friends are all in Michigan pretty much. And then I have a lot of people in New York, and then a lot of people, because I went to college in New York, and then a lot of people in LA. And so we basically were just like anywhere we go is going to be a destination for a fair amount of people. So we might as well like lean into that and try to have it be like a little vacation for people and make it more of like an experience so that it feels worthwhile. And I think both of us definitely like pro and con overthink, wanting to make sure everyone else is super comfortable and super excited about it. But I do think ultimately it made our wedding really special for us and for everyone. So
automatically Colorado, that's it.
I think Colorado made sense. It's an easy flight for a lot of people coming from wherever. And we kind of like, despite the fact that neither one of us, that we're both way more like city people, there was something appealing about the idea of being like mountainy cowboys for the weekend. I don't know, that we both were like, we're gonna wear cowboy hats and like do that. And like, it's not like we did that. I guess, so we did go to a wedding in Los Olivos, which is like the similar area to Paso Robles, where we got to like ride horses that day and stuff. And we were like, this would be really fun to do for our wedding.
Right.
So I think we kind of got it in our head, like, let's have a summer camp weekend for adults with an open bar. Like, let's do a summer camp wedding with open bar was like our theme.
I like
so
that.
That is when the iconic's not the right word, the infamous PowerPoint came into play, because Elliot and I decided to try to explain our vision to our parents. It would be great to like have a little like mission statement manifesto with some inspo. Okay, seriously, we're insane people. I know we're going to
love this so much.
I do too.
Does the PowerPoint still exist?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We
might have to get like one or two stills from that.
I need to see this. Yes.
This is going to be a mixed media presentation. We both love like having a project together. So like, that's what our, we just bought a house and that's been what that is. Like, we love having a project. We both, work in that kind of like creative-ish field. And I think we thrive when we have this like project to do. So yes, the PowerPoint, that was part of it. Love a good PowerPoint.
I'm sorry. I'm already just predicting your child's birthday parties are going to be insane.
I've already told Elliot he has to like keep me in check, because we both want to raise like a reasonable child. We want to raise a child that is not like forced to have these insane theme birthdays. But it's going to be insane.
Yeah, no, I love this isn't a judgment in the negative way. I think it's going to be awesome.
You're invited to our child's birthday.
That's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. We'll make sure it's sponsored by Happen.
Sweet first birthday party invite. I'm not going to lie, I have thought about it, but yes. Okay.
Okay, sorry. So back to your wedding. So you've decided, you've narrowed down the guest amount of people coming, definitely in Colorado. How do you pick the actual venue? Summer camp vibe.
Yes. So we toured this really popular venue in Colorado that's gorgeous. It's really great, but a lot of people get married there when they do like a Colorado wedding, a Colorado destination wedding. So it kind of felt to us a little bit like a wedding factory. Like when we went there, it was like, they have this many weddings a weekend, and like it just felt really, and it's like, oh, you can get into the game room from like this hour to this hour. And like, neither Elliot in particular, he doesn't like when authority makes arbitrary rules. And he was just like, this is full of arbitrary rules. We can't do this here. And so I think, it had like kind of the vibe that we wanted in terms of, being rustic in Colorado, and had, this place for people to gather, but it was ultimately like also a bigger resort. So we would be like a piece of it. And so I don't know, we ended up finding this dude ranch called Sea Lazy U, which I didn't understand the name for a long time, but apparently a U is a lazy sea, like when it tilts on it's lazy. I don't know. There's like a naming convention out here. Like, so there's another ranch called T Lazy 7, because like a 7 is a lazy T or a T. Anyway, the point is that's something.
This is cowboy culture that we're learning.
Yes. Yeah. Learning things. So yes, we found this ranch called Sea Lazy U, probably just from like Google searches. And we drove up there. And when we got there, we actually, when we visited the first time, it was like in a snowstorm. And somehow it still just was so clear, like, this is the place. Because they don't do a ton of weddings. They do like 6 or 7 weddings a year, but they're mostly a family dude ranch. So like families will go there for like a week. And so they have all these activities, and they have like archery and trap shooting and like a lake, and, just, it's like a family summer camp kind of thing. And then they do, a limited number of weddings where they'll let people buy out the place for the weekend. So you have to do a buyout of it. Which was also obviously very appealing, and also kind of insane. But
what time of year were you looking to get married?
What
time of year were you looking to get married?
So our original date was June 2020.
Oh, you really wanted the summer and the summer camp. Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted I think June was like a great time in Colorado. It's still like not too, which, spoiler alert, we did not end up getting married. And actually we ended up getting married in May. So it's not that different, but in Colorado, the difference between May and June can be like a snowstorm versus the sun.
Oh, got it. Okay. So summer takes a little bit longer to get there because it's higher elevation. It's a colder place.
Super high altitude. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So anyway, June was the original date.
So you locked it in, like put down a deposit for June 2020, or what happened?
Yes. We were like, yes, this is the place. Like they were so wonderful and accommodating, and basically we're just like, this whole place is yours. And Elliot was like, what time does the game room close? And they were like, it never closes. And we were like, great. We love this. Like, there are no rules. We kind of just pictured like all of our friends just running amok at this dude ranch, and it just seemed awesome. And we're not like old, but Elliot, what is he, like 37, 38 now? Sorry, babe, if that's wrong, but I think that's how old he is.
You don't have it in your notes?
He is. And so he's 37.
Yeah. Go with that.
So, a lot of our friends have already gotten married, started having kids. And so we were like, if they're going to be leaving their kids, doing all of this stuff, going out of their way, like, we want to make it fun for everyone. So that was really what we led with, was we just want everyone to have this really awesome weekend and this really awesome experience, because we want to make it worth everyone's while, which, a lot of my friends were like, you can't concern yourself with that. This is your wedding, blah, blah, blah. But I can't help it. That's just.
It is hard, because if you're doing a destination wedding for, like you said, most people, you do feel this twinge of guilt of, I don't want to have people give up so many days of their life, potentially vacation days that they could have spent doing something else, all this money. And then there just comes this pressure in your mind that all these people you love are giving up all of that. I can't disappoint them. But it turns out
childcare.
Right.
Like,
people's expectations are usually lower than you think.
Mm-hmm.
They're just here to have a good time.
Yes, it's so fair. But we did end up we had people could bring if they had babies, but we only ended up having one baby at the wedding.
So no children, only babies was the rule.
Only babies. And I think only babies. Only babies. We had one baby, and it was iconic. It was amazing. My friend Jessie ended up coming last minute with her baby, who was, he must have been like 4 or 5 months, and he had giant speaker, like headphones on, and was like dancing. And it was so good.
Okay, so you book everything in the winter of 2019?
Exactly. Yes.
Are you checking the timeline?
I'm checking the
timeline. like pre-Christmas 2019?
I honestly don't remember when exactly we booked it, but I know we booked it. Yeah, it must have been around Christmas, like New Year's time, that we booked it.
Because you said it was snowing and everything. Yeah.
Before any inkling of what was to come, obviously.
Yeah. So let's trot ahead so when we get to about March of 2020 and things start getting a little weird, have you at that point sent out invitations or saved the dates?
We had definitely sent out save the dates, these cute little magnets. My creative partner, I work in advertising and I'm a copywriter, and my creative partner is the art director. I forced him to make these cute little Bitmojis of us. I didn't force him to do that much, but that I did. So he made these hilarious Bitmojis of like Elliot on a little horse and me like dragging him. And it was just like it was cute. And so we sent out these little magnets. We hand wrote every little note with the magnet and sent it out. And it said like, giddy up, and then the date and blah, blah, blah. So we had sent out save the date magnets. We had not sent out invites because we did digital invites. We decided that something we didn't want to spend money on was invites for some reason. I don't remember, but ended up being totally fine, and ended up being even better because we ended up having to change the date. So we didn't have to resend invites. All those invites were not a waste. Elliot was like, I knew it. Digital invites were the way. And he also like, he designed these really cool, like in email, like beautiful, had a whole timeline of events. Like it was a really cool digital email invite. If I can shout out his work. He did all of that. He made like the coolest website, super interactive, had like all of our text messages, had all this like fun. He's really good at shit like that. So he did that. We had sent all that out, and then March hit, and we were 3 months before the wedding. And we, like so many brides, went back and forth on like, do we cancel? When do we cancel? How long do we give it? Is it happening now? Is it not happening now? Sorry, my mom's coming in with something.
That's okay.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Mom.
She made me a tuna melt. It's the podcast host.
Hello. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
We were just talking about can she hear us? Hello.
Hi, quickly.
We were just talking about how they had a PowerPoint presentation for you guys to explain the wedding.
Oh my God. We were we were in hysterics. Seriously. And Elliot pulls out the computer and went, oh my God.
They loved it.
It really was very funny. And you know what? The wedding was amazing.
Okay, we haven't gotten there yet.
Mom.
Oh my God, I've been listening to you talk for an hour already.
Bye, Mom.
I'm not going to be able to eat this tuna melt while I talk. Just thank you. I love you.
If you want to stop eating the tuna melt, we can happily take a break if you're hungry.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll let you know. At some point.
Pregnant ladies, we know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I know. She's like feeding me. It's really cute. I love her. This is why we moved here, because we need all the help we can
We are
get.
keeping that in the episode, by the way.
Yes.
So your mom's going to get a little cameo.
She's gonna love it.
She's
She'll
so
love
cute.
It.
Okay, so
Mom, come on, you're embarrassing me. So yes, we went back and forth. Obviously, so many people were dealing with that, and no one knew anything. It was like, maybe 2 weeks it'll be fine. At first, Elliot was like, it's gonna be fine. He's like so positive that things are gonna be fine, and eventually, and I was like, I just want to cancel now. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, this is not like, for me, I don't like not taking action. Like, I would just rather take action. Whereas Elliot is much better at like patiently waiting. And I am like, no, let's make a decision one way or another. He's like, it's okay. Like, let's just relax. It'll be fine. Like, it's not going to be fine, which, it wasn't fine, but then it was fine. So we ended up postponing, and luckily the ranch was amazing about letting us postpone. I do think we got lucky timing wise in that like everyone was really understanding at that point, because it was so like early on. I think as things started to progress, a lot of brides dealt with like people that were like, no, we're not going to let you cancel. We're not going to let you postpone. But I feel like we were all kind of in it together. And so in the beginning, we reached out to all of our vendors, and we had spent a long time and a lot. I mean, if you couldn't tell how type A we are already, we had definitely put a lot of care into picking the vendors, because we wanted to make sure that, everyone understood that we wanted like everything to feel very like thoughtful and intentional. And we picked vendors who honestly ended up becoming super close friends. Like, now I have several like of my best friends in Colorado. Like, our florist is one of my best friends now.
That's so cool.
That's
I love that.
Yeah, especially because we moved out to Colorado after that.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, we just worked together for 2 years now because the wedding got postponed and we became super close. And now I live in Colorado. And so, you know, our wedding photographer is also one of my close friends. She lives in Boulder and has 2 kids. And I basically have told her that I need all of her hand-me-downs. And yeah, so it's great. So yes, so we ended up deciding to postpone. It was a shitty time. It was a shitty decision. And I felt like it felt unfair, but at the same time, like everyone was losing a lot of things, like, you know, jobs or their high school graduations and all that stuff. And so it kind of was just like, it was actually nice to connect with other brides who were dealing with the same thing. Like, I feel like I actually knew a few people who had to postpone, and it was like, no, but like, we're in this together. So, you know, it was what it was. And now I look back and I'm like, everything turned out the way it should. So I feel fine about it. But I know at the moment it was like really brutal.
Yeah.
So when you went to postpone it, did you just pick a new date immediately, or was it just kind of hanging out in the ether and just pick it up when you had a better idea of what was happening in the world?
I think it was a bit of we waited a little bit, but I honestly, obviously it's not on the timeline, so I can't remember exactly when.
Elliot.
I think we did. Let's phone a friend. Yeah. Phone my husband. So I do think we had to pick one pretty immediately, just because vendors were getting rebooked, and, you know, the ranch also was like rebooking for the next year. I mean, kind of blindly, because people didn't know what was going to be happening.
Sure.
And so we were like, they had some dates that were sooner, that were like 6 months away. And we were like, if we're going to postpone it, like, let's just postpone it a year. And by that point, it did feel like we at least had some idea that, like, okay, this isn't going away right away. It's so crazy how all of this becomes a blur, you know, because it was just something none of us had, you know, experienced. But yes, I think and I feel like information was like, things would feel clear and then not clear and then clear, and then we understood and then didn't understand. And so, you know, we postponed a year and tried to kind of put it off our plates for a little while, because watching the news every day and reading the stats and all of that was what we were doing before we decided to postpone. And we were both just like super burnt out. And so we decided to just kind of let that go. And, you know, obviously went into lockdown, and we were so grateful that we had this sanctuary that we had created together and that we really loved. And I feel like that time brought us so much closer together. And having that extra year ended up being like a blessing in disguise. And we did end up celebrating our original wedding date. We went to Paso Robles for the weekend.
There it is.
Yeah. We went to Paso Robles for the weekend, and we said like private vows to each other. We didn't get like officially married at that point. But we said private vows to each other. I wore an outfit that I had ordered for the wedding that like was like this big skirt that I decided I didn't want to wear for the wedding the next year. I had bought like 10 outfits at this point, if I'm being honest. So we took some pictures. Elliot, my husband's a photographer also, so he like set up a tripod. We got some photos, and it was a really special memory for the two of us to have that date. And I think that will always like still be really special for us. So, you know, I mean, obviously it's way too late to recommend things for COVID brides, but I do feel like still making that date special was really helpful for us. Yeah, so that was that. And we had picked a new date for May 2021.
Okay.
So we said, okay, we'll let it go for a little while. We won't pick up planning.
Because also it sounded like at that point you already had most of your vendors locked in. So it's just a matter of reordering, but you already sort of had a template in place of what you wanted.
Yes.
So that's
we
nice.
had a lot of stuff like set, although we did end up changing some stuff. And we were at the point where it was like, we were like still figuring out like, you know, the table numbers and like final design stuff. And, you know, but we definitely had vendors, which was great. And we were super on top of stuff. So we already had like, you know, our wedding playlist stuff to like send to the DJ. And we had thought about a few things. Like there was one thing that we knew we wanted, and we did end up sticking with this was we decided to pick each other's processional songs and not tell each other. So
I love that.
We surprised each other with our processional songs. So then we had like an extra year to think about that. But there were a few other things that I can't remember specifically, but I know in like the extra year that we had that we thought of some like stuff that we were like, oh my God, that's awesome. We wouldn't have thought of that if we like didn't have that time.
Wait, before you go on, what were the songs?
Yes.
You can't just breeze through that. I gotta know wait, first of all, tell me the original song and then what you switched it to.
Oh man, I don't remember the original.
That's asking too much. Yeah. If it's not on the list.
Mine, I know, I told you I have the memory of a goldfish already. The song that I picked the Indiana Jones Raiders March for him. So the Indiana Jones, like orchestral Raiders March, because he's a big movie guy. And he loves Indiana Jones. And I actually watched Indiana Jones for the first time with him. And I wanted something that would feel like epic, but also like lighthearted, because our ceremony was pretty non-traditional. I mean, is there such thing as traditional anymore? Probably not. It was very like funny and lighthearted. It had some, more heartfelt moments, but we definitely wanted to we wanted everyone to have a good time, and we wanted everyone to know that they're allowed to laugh and that kind of stuff. So we wanted to start it off with that. But I told him I didn't want my song to be funny. His song could be funny, but not mine. So he actually, he picked this acoustic version of Sweet Child of Mine from the Captain Fantastic soundtrack. And it's really, really sweet. I actually didn't know the song at all. And originally I was like, why did you pick that? But then when I listened to it, I weep. So it worked.
Nice.
Anyway, so yes, some things stayed the same from our original plan. A lot of things, the vendors luckily stayed the same. Although we did end up adding on an additional vendor. We ended on an additional vendor, Stevie, who is unreal. She's a part of this planning and design place called Wildly Collective. And she ended up doing all these amazing hand illustrations of a lot of stuff for us.
Wait, hand illustrations during the event?
No. So she did basically for our table numbers. God, I feel like I'm skipping around all over the place. But for our table numbers, we'll have to go back to the fire because that hasn't happened yet.
Commercial break.
All right.
Flames.
Fire is still coming.
So she did these. She did these. She illustrated our table numbers for us of iconic landmarks in neighborhoods that we loved and have visited together, and then wrote on the back stories about them, and it was just really lovely. And now we have them, and we're going to hang them in our nursery.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, super cool. And she created this huge, amazing sign that says the Blitzerhoofs that's also hanging in our house. So we've repurposed a lot of her designs, and I think it brought such a nice personal touch. So anyway, Stevie, she was awesome. All of our vendors were.
Speaking
amazing.
Of Blitzerhoof, would you like to explain a little bit about your last name? Is now a good time?
Now could be a great time.
All right.
So,
because you briefly went into this before we started recording, and I thought it was really fascinating.
We gotta go back in time.
Yeah, tell me. Wait. Give us the. I'm gonna write it down. Where do you want to go? Return after the name conversation.
Okay, let's go back to when we decided to pick up planning again for wedding take 2.
Okay, wedding take 2. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. Begin your. Okay, go.
Okay, so my last name was Blitz, and my husband's last name was Dickerhoof. And at first, when we had the conversation, we had kind of gone back and forth between hyphenating, which we didn't really want to do, or both keeping our names, but then we knew we wanted to have kids and wanted to have, the same last name as our kids. So Elliot at one point was kind of on board with taking Blitz, progressive and all that. So basically we were kind of settled on that. And then he went home to Michigan to visit his grandfather. His grandfather wasn't doing well, and he basically visited his grandfather on his deathbed. And on his deathbed, his grandfather this is cinematic in my mind, he reached out to Elliot and said, carry on the Dickerhoof name. And it was something he had never said to him before. And Elliot was just what? And then his grandfather like died right after that. And so that was basically like the last thing that he said to him.
Oh my
so
God.
Elliot was like, shit, I can't just get rid of the Dickerhoof name now. So we decided to create our own hybrid last name to keep part of, his heritage, and then to keep Blitz. Our families think we're insane people and laughed, and they continue to laugh every time we tell them. But we combined our names together to make Blitzerhoof.
I think Blitzerhoof, first of all, both names separately are great last names. And then the combo is
totally
fantastic.
Works. Yes.
I'm pretty into it. We love the fact that it's something that makes people take a second thought too. I think both of us are like, we secretly like think that's funny. So I don't know. Honestly, like I love also the idea that we're creating this new thing together. Like we're both, I think, pretty nostalgic, not the right word, but like we love like symbolism and that kind of stuff. And so to symbolically be creating this like new family together, and now our son will have this last name and he'll carry on the Blitzerhoof name,
which we will demand he carry on.
He's gonna have to.
I know my sister thinks that it sounds like a reindeer, which, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't not sound like a reindeer. But
oh my God. Listen, you guys work in advertising and marketing. You create a children's holiday themed book series about Blitzerhoof.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? It's like the son of Blitzen, and his name's Blitzerhoof.
Yes.
And he goes through all these little adventures. Dude, you could make somebody's listening to this, scratching it down. You need to copyright it before someone else does.
Sponsored by Happen.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So wedding take 2 is where we were supposed to pick up from. Do you need to stop to eat the tuna melt?
I'm going to have a bite.
Yeah. I need to pee. This is a good sign for a pause. Hold on.
How did you know I was like looking at it?
No, because I don't like the idea of a cold tuna melt. That made me sad for you.
Right? It's like, what is it then?
Right. Okay, hold on a second. And now we are back for some bridal breaks. Hey, Pammy.
Hi.
So for all of our new listeners, bridal breaks are not suggestions just for brides, but anyone helping to plan a wedding, of fun things to do that have nothing to do with wedding planning. So we step away from the chaos and the lists and the budgets and just enjoy our lives. Sound like a plan, Pam?
I love it. Yes.
So I usually give...
My favorite part.
Yeah, right. I usually give some pop culture kind of stuff, and Pammy usually does a sassy beverage. So we're now about to hit winter. I mean, I guess technically winter has not started yet on the solstice, but I mean, we're post Thanksgiving. So for Americans, like, bitch, it's winter. Do you have a wintry cocktail for us, Pammy?
I did. We actually had somebody write in and give me a drink for a bridal break that is very holiday appropriate. So I thought I would share it as my bridal break today.
I love that people are sending us suggestions. It takes, less homework for us.
Well, this is definitely somebody who knows me, I would say, or knows my taste. Because it's called a sugar cookie, which, me and my sweet drinks. Like, I was like, yes, please. So,
wait, was this via Tell Your Secret, or did they give you a name?
She gave me a name, but should I say it?
Oh, you know what? Let us know in the future, listener, if you want us to use your name. We will be, it's right, because it's anonymous. They're anonymous confessionals.
Everything's anonymous.
Anonymous drink drop. Okay, you're right. My bad. I almost spilled a secret. That's on me. Sorry, tell me more about your gingerbread drink.
No, sugar cookie.
Sugar cookie. So sorry. Tell me more about your sugar cookie drink.
So this is 1 part vodka, 1 part amaretto, and 1 part Bailey's. And she says it's so good, it gets you tipsy. Try it out. And I'm like, yes, please. I I'm in. I have all of it, and I cannot wait to try this drink.
That sounds
So
fantastic.
thank you for sending this in, and yes, I will. I will let you know because I will be tasting this.
That sounds fantastic. So
Yeah, what do you have?
my bridal breaks for the week, I'm going to give you two. It's actually like a 1-2 punch. It's sort of a one big one, but there is a holiday element of it. There's a show
Okay.
that Tristan and I stumbled upon, I want to say about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and it's called Blown Away. And it's, you know me, I love my reality competition shows. It's a
Yes.
competition
This
show.
is reality?
Yes, it's about glass making and glass blowers. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
competition
yeah.
about kind of like, we were talking the other week about the amateur pottery makers. These are amateur, I think amateur and professional, but kind of lower level, I guess, professional glass blowers. And just kind of like the pottery show where you're learning about how do you blow and create big pieces of, sometimes it's artistic, sometimes it's bowls, so it can sometimes be functional pieces of glass and other times it's artwork, but all the different ways that you make color and how you make it opaque or if you make it see-through, it's really fascinating. And it's so difficult. And another thing is that at any point while they're doing it, it can break. So you could do all of this work and it looks so
That's
beautiful.
stressful.
And then right at the end, it could just, burp, and then it's just on the floor. And you're like, well, guess we're starting over. It really is. It's super stressful. But the episodes are only 30 minutes long, so you can kind of blast through this season really quickly. There are 2 seasons. It's on Netflix. Each season has 10 episodes, but they just released, well, now it'll be out because by the time this comes about, but I think like a week ago, they released a holiday special and it's 4 parts. And they brought some of the previous guests back and they do like Christmassy holiday themed projects. And that's what the competition is about. And for the holiday episodes, Bobby Berk, who is the design guy for the newest version of Queer Eye on Netflix. I'm talking about the guy that does all the interior design. So he's such a sweetheart, and they brought him in to be the guest host for the holiday special. And honestly, like he's really good at it. The host before on the previous seasons was like, he was fine, but like Bobby brings this like element of like whimsy and silly, which I think actually really works. Also, one of the things he does, which I think is crazy, is that when they're inspecting him at the end of each episode to figure out who's going to win, Bobby actually picks up the objects, whereas no one else touches the glass. Bobby is taking risks, and I like it. I'm like, Bobby, you could break this. What are you doing? It's like, don't take Bobby to an art museum. Don't touch. But yeah, it's super cute. And again, it's only 30 minutes and it's only 4 episodes for the holiday special. So Tristan and I, the day after Thanksgiving, you got that like food/alcohol hangover. I swear I had a cheese hangover more than alcohol because I ate so much cheese. But we just sat on the couch just for 2 hours straight and just blasted through it. And it was really fun. So I highly recommend that.
Nice.
So yeah, those are our bridal breaks for the week. Pammy, that means it's time for a little bit of a quiz.
Yay.
All right, Pammy, we're gonna blast through this really quick. You ready? Record timing. What is the name of our what is the name of our wedding? What is the name of our website?
weddingconfessionals.com.
Yes, from there you can find our social media handles, which are Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and our newest one, Pammy?
TikTok.
Also from there you can find all the details of our show notes and links to our bridal breaks and stuff like that. Also, we would love for you to send us your confessionals. Send them in. We need the confessionals. We love the confessionals. We want to hear your stories. We want to know about your dramas. There are 3 ways to send us your confessionals. One is an email. What's the email address, Pammy?
weddingconfessionals@gmail.com.
What is the phone number where you can leave us a voicemail?
434.
Yes.
Why do I keep going? 933?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Come on.
4.
No.
6.
2663. It's the 2 that keeps the only 2 in the whole phone number. 434-933-2663. 434-933-2663. Or you can go to our website and click on what tab, Pammy?
Tell us your secret.
Yes. From there, you just fill out a form, no phone number, no email address needed, completely secret. That's also where you can send Pammy your secret cocktails.
Yeah. Or not. If you want to be, if you want to give us your name, it's okay for us to say it. Just let us know. But we don't.
But
we don't
Pammy's
want to
not
share anybody's name.
Pammy's not
want
sharing
to.
names unless you wanted to share names, and we like that about her. She keeps her lips
I'm
closed.
I'm a good secret keeper. Yes.
Right. Also, everybody, if you were listening via Apple Podcasts, please make sure to leave us 5 stars and a cute little review. We got a fun one the other day that came in saying that we were more helpful than Pinterest.
Yes. I mean, thank you.
Yes, that is amazing, especially because we know in the wedding world, like Pinterest is like top tier. So, I mean, we struggle with Pinterest, but we admire Pinterest and we love that review. But yes, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. The more reviews we get, the more we move up on their weird algorithm. So more brides and grooms can find us and we can help them out as well. Besides Apple Podcasts, Pammy, just give me 5. What do you got? 5 other places you can find us.
Okay. Spotify.
Yep.
Podbean.
Yep.
YouTube.
Yes.
Downcast, Deezer.
Oh, you got it. That's
Google
5.
Play.
Woo,
Yahoo!
Amazon Music, Audible, Castbox, Castro, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Listen Notes, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Pod Paradise, Podtail, Podcast Addict, Podcast Land, Podcast Republic, Radio Public, Stitcher, TuneIn, and use your lovely voices to request our podcast using Alexa or Siri. And Pammy, that is it.
Woohoo!
Yes, and we will be moving on to part 2 of our chat with Carly because it's 3 parts long, y'all.
So good.
Yeah, so stay tuned. It really is. It's captivating stuff. So I will see you next week, Pammy. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Special thanks to Andy Schreier for our adorable theme song.
And David Kantrowitz for our fantastic logo.
And Ramsey Millette and Brian Maylard for their technical support.
If you want to learn more about our show, where you got to go, Pam?
Check out our website, weddingconfessionals.com.
That's it, girl. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.